it is Kaylin here at Full Purpose and Heart, and we have just finished 2 weeks of school. We've started our 2018-2019 school year, and so this is the first video of our Homeschool Life series. And just in case you haven't seen this series before, I did it last year, and it's really super helpful for me to be able to go back and kind of follow along in our homeschool life to give myself encouragement and ideas and reminders of how things have gone and what I did and what I didn't do. So hopefully it's also helpful for you as you watch our homeschool journey. So here we have weeks 1 and week 2, and I will go ahead and tell you a little bit about how that went and what we did and all that kind of good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so as I mentioned, we have finished 2 weeks of school, and guys, I'm really surprised because it went by really quickly and very smoothly. So I've said this before in my videos, I'm a huge advocate of planning. I spend hours of time during the summer planning and preparing and visualizing how our school day goes. So that part of it's not that surprising to me, but when I put it into action and it actually does go as I had envisioned, that's just really satisfying for me. So we had a really great first 2 weeks of school, and for that I'm really thankful. Just kind of to touch on a couple of things. Firstly, I have done lots of videos about the curriculum that we've selected, and I'm going to be putting out some videos about how I organized all of that curriculum for our school year, as well as how one school day goes. So make sure you check out those videos if you're curious to see how I kind of plan our school day. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to briefly chat about a couple of things that helped our first 2 weeks of school go so well. So I actually have them behind me here. So first and foremost, well, let's see. We'll start from the top of our day and go down. So I started Explode the Code. We did, let's see, in the first 2 weeks of school, we did 7 school days. And in those 7 school days, we finished lesson 1 of Explode the Code. And I super liked it. It was really easy. I was assigning 1 page per day for my student, but I really think that was not enough because he finished them so quickly. And I wanted him to be doing these for 15 minutes. So I'm going to have to either assign more pages per day or maybe I'll actually like accompany this with his spelling page and have him do his spelling and his Explode the Code simultaneously, like in that same block of time, because this really didn't take very much time at all. As far as difficulty level, if you watched my curriculum video, I think that was in the more curriculum video, just to confuse you. Anyway, I was not really certain for sure if level 2 was going to be too difficult or not, and I think it's a good fit so far. Again, we've only done lesson 1, but I really liked it. We started reading Huckleberry Finn. We've done the first 2 chapters. We actually have done 3 chapters, but I haven't done the mini book for it. The chapters are really short, relatively short, and I'm excited because my boy really likes the story. And we had just gone to the theater to see the play Big River, which is based off of this book, so that was kind of a fun thing to do because now he kind of relates it in his head after having seen that show at the theater. So this is turning out to be awesome. I've organized all of my students' independent work into this binder, and we're doing this like binder time or a binder system. Make sure you check out that video when it comes out in the next day or 2. It'll be out. But anyway, I'll explain this into detail, but this is really super awesome. My student feels very independent. He goes whatever subject order he wants to, and he completes as much work as he wants to, which is exactly what I wanted to have done. This is also, now this one is blank because I'm going to be getting ready to do the next week here. We've just finished week 2, so I cleared it off and I'm getting week 3 started. But before I started, I wanted to record this. But anyway, so this is working really great. So my student checks everything off. And let me show you. I'm actually saving his work, his checklists at the back of his binder work so that he can just go back through if he wants to. He never will. That's something I would do. Like, oh, look at all my check marks. Because that's something that check mark people do. Anyway, so he goes through and he check marks off of the list the things that he's completed. Then at the end of the week, we have some time as part of our school day where I will go over his binder work with him. So we can check, I just check and make sure he completed everything. He gets a reward for completing everything. We also have just these daily habits and personal growth charts that we chat about to kind of make sure that he's following suit with all of that. So this is, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to go really great. Both of these were really good. All right, so I realized I had forgotten a few things and I wanted to make sure and show you these few things. Now, when I do our homeschool life updates, the subject that I'll probably try and touch on a little bit for every episode is our history, because I did build that curriculum myself, and I think that some of you may be interested or have questions as to what type of things I'm doing with my student. So again, as a reminder, we're doing the heritage studies, and this week we are going through chapter 1. So we're talking about how the world was made, how God made the world, how we have continents, we have oceans, and we started off talking about what history actually was. So these are some of the things that I had. So first of all, I made these little word strips, and I put them on the back onto cardboard so that they were sturdy, and we played this game probably 3 times over the course of the 2 weeks. So anyway, just some words. So geography, citizenship, economics, culture. Is that it? I'm missing one more, which is, I think, history is the word I'm missing. Anyway, so I have these words, and then along with them, I printed off a bunch of pictures, and then we were matching what part of social studies that topic would fit under. So, for example, this would be history. History, we're talking about George Washington. We're talking about cultures. Anyway, so you get the idea, just so that, because a few times last year when we did, I would say, okay, well, let's do our history lesson. My son would say, what's history? So I was just trying to teach him, and this is actually in the curriculum as well. It's in the textbook. I didn't just make it up. I just kind of expanded it a little bit. Anyway, so here's another example. This is geography, citizenship, more geography. Okay, so we just played a matching game, and I would, we did it both ways, where we would draw a picture and try and put it under the correct name, and then I laid out all of the pictures, and then we tried to put the names under the correct, over the correct pictures. We kind of did that a couple of times. Like I said, I think we played 3 times, and by the 3rd game, my kid was like, all right. He had just memorized the pictures for the most part, but I think it kind of at least covered what the subject of history was, or social studies rather, and different things that we're going to be covering over the course of the units. Okay, another thing that we did, we studied our continents. So I just printed off and laminated the different continents, and a couple of times, maybe twice, we just put the continents down on the floor and made the actual kind of map-ish on the floor, just so that he could get an idea. And then a kind of kitty corner to that, or I don't know what I just tried to say. Anyway, so I made these 2. So these they match the actual continent. See if I can find Africa in this pile. Here it is. Okay, so they match, so you could put one on top of the other. So we actually laid out the map of the world, all of the continents. We named the 7 continents. We put them in alphabetical order. We put them in order of from biggest to smallest, yada, 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 okay? And then we also were trying to just briefly identify. I wasn't memorizing. We weren't learning it per se, but just kind of introducing or making aware some of the things that are found at each continent. I also had books from the library that kind of accompanied that as well. So that went really well. And then I made this workbook. So he did 1 page in the workbook, and we just talked about the earth and the world and who made the world. And then I had 2 questions at the bottom that kind of covered or reiterated some of the things that we learned. So some of these questions as well as the continents questions. So I think that that's it. Again, it's only 2 weeks. I don't really I'm trying not to make these super long videos, but when I start talking about school, I can get super chatty. So I'm going to try not to be chatty, more informational for you. But this, again, like I mentioned, this is the first video of our series of our whole homeschool life here in this 2018-2019 school year. We have one first grader. I didn't mention that at the beginning of the video. So if you are new to my channel and you just happened to find this video, welcome. I have a first grader and a preschooler along with a preschool class that I teach among a bunch of neighborhood kids. So those classes are going to start in the next 2 weeks. So we have one more chunk of time of just our little family before we start inviting some of the neighbors to disrupt our flow. So we will see how that goes when that gets here. But in the meantime, super positive week. Things went really well. Because I've spent so much time planning and organizing it, it really is flowing very nicely. So I would encourage you, if you're curious, check out those organization videos and preparation videos just to kind of see how I'm running things, so that if you're curious or if all of this is just looking really overwhelming, then you can kind of get a better idea of where our days begin and end. So anyway, if you're new to my channel, again, I would invite you, you can subscribe. These videos come every 2 weeks, so you can follow along. And then I also scatter in lots of other of our homeschooling videos and things that we're doing over here on our neck of the woods. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you in another video.